Welcome to our daily reflection for this Saturday, July 5th. And today I want to focus on the gospel reading and the end of it, where Jesus gives a few phrases, a few little parabolic sayings that are easy to pass by. And I want to reflect on them a little bit. It comes to the question of John the Baptist's disciples fast, the Pharisees' disciples fast, but Jesus' disciples don't fast. And they ask Jesus, why don't your disciples fast? And they're trying to basically, this is what the enemy always tries to do, divide and conquer, right? Separate Jesus from the apostles, make Jesus, criticize his own apostles. And Jesus doesn't do that. He defends them. And he talks about how, while the wedding guest is with them, the guests can't, or while the bridegroom is with them, the guests can't fast. But when the bridegroom is taken away, then they will fast that day. So ironically, Jesus' disciples aren't fasting during his public ministry, but when he's taken away on Good Friday, they will fast on that day and mourn. And then even the disciples to this day, we fast on Fridays, remembering Good Friday, so we continue that practice. Now, the scribes and the Pharisees had a practice of fasting 2 days a week, and that came out of a tradition of mourning the temple's loss. And since the glory of the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord hadn't descended upon the temple yet, they still mourn the absence of God's Spirit. But Jesus is saying that with him present amongst his apostles and disciples, God's Spirit is present, and that's why they do not fast. And so there's a powerful teaching in this fasting, not fasting, with Jesus and his own identity. But now I want to look at what he says after that, because he says, look, no one patches an old cloak with a new patch of cloth, and then it gets washed and that new patch shrinks, and then the tear becomes much worse, right? So that patching job is only going to make the tear far worse. Nor do people put, new wine in old wineskins, because old wineskins have expanded as far as they can. You put the new wine in, and then that new wine begins to ferment, and it stretches it, and then the wineskins burst, and you lose both the old skin and you lose the wine. And so the old and the new don't go together. And so this is an interesting reflection Jesus is giving. An old garment, piece of clothing with a new patch, new wine with an old wineskin. These things don't go together, right? And so you need new wineskins with new wine, right? And so the old and the new are in tension. And I think what Jesus is reflecting on is Jesus brings into our life the new. He is the new Adam. But in our lives, we also have a lot of the old man, the old Adam and Eve in our lives. Our old ways, our sinful ways, our selfish ways. And those selfish ways and the ways of Adam and the ways of sin don't combine with the new life of grace in us. And so we need to not be the old wineskins of sin and selfishness with the new wine of grace, but we need to become new wineskins and a new garment. And so that this shrinking, this tension between the old and new don't separate and cause a rending in our hearts and in our lives. And so we need to align with the new, and that's what Jesus is inviting us to. So today, let's reflect. In what ways do I still want to practice my old ways, my own personal ways, my selfish ways, my sinful ways, the ways of the old man, the old woman, the old Adam and Eve? And how do I compromise where I want to be Christian, but I also want to be Adam, right? I want to follow Christ, but I also follow the flesh. And so let's reflect on that and see if we can purge out the old and make room for the new, so that that life of grace may grow and expand like the new wine in new wineskins and not burst out of our life and be wasted. Let's receive that grace and may the Lord bless and keep you.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.